Hi, I'm Paul Campbell, and I'm bloody freezing because we're outside in Gateshead on a cold winter's day. I'm sorry about the wind noise if you can hear that. That's the Tyne Bridge there, and that's the traffic going over the Tyne Bridge. And here is Amazing Towers. This is our new radio station building that we got the keys for and moved into 4 days ago. So it's a bit early days, but let me show you around. About 4 or 5 years ago, I started thinking about the way that technology makes it possible for musicians to record music, sometimes literally on a laptop in their bedroom, to a higher quality than has ever been possible before in history. So then we invented something called AmazingTunes.com, which basically is like iTunes, but for unsigned bands. It's a website where musicians record their own stuff, which they own, original material, and they upload it to AmazingTunes.com. And then the idea is it does the hard bit for them, which is having a professional and global and reliable distribution mechanism, and it makes them some money. And then I started thinking, what else can we do with this to give, in particular, to bring more attention to the people whose music's on AmazingTunes.com. So I thought, we can have a radio station. So we launched on the 1st of June last year something called Amazing Radio, which is the world's first radio station where all the music is brand new. You will never hear an oldie, a golden oldie or a tarnished oldie. It's all brand new music, all of it drawn from AmazingTunes.com. It's also the first national radio station that's ever been based outside of London. It's incredible to think it's all 80 years or something since the BBC started radio broadcasting in the UK, which was the first in the world. And there has never been a national station outside of London. Well, there is now, and this is it. This is Amazing Radio in Gateshead. This is my office. It's really glamorous. I have a computer and a printer that doesn't work very well. I haven't got a telephone yet because we've only just moved in. Over here, there's a load of empty desks. That's interesting, isn't it? So if you walk down here, you can see dozens of desks. In years to come, there will be thousands of staff working here doing marvellous things. I have a self-denying ordinance, which basically means I will never tell you who my favourite bands are on Amazing Tunes or Amazing Radio. And that's for a really important reason, which is I'm only me, and I'm old, and I'm a drummer. Who cares what my musical taste is? What matters is what your musical taste is. So the way that Amazing Radio works is that the playlist is chosen by the listeners, the users of AmazingTunes.com, not by me. I don't know if you can hear the music playing in the background. That's Amazing Radio, which is piped all the way through the building here, which means that we can never escape it. But also, actually, it's really helpful when it's on all the time, because sometimes if you don't listen to things for a long period of time, you can kind of forget that there's too many announcements, or you should have more of this kind of music and less of that kind of music. So that gives us a chance to do that. And meanwhile, in here, this is where most of the clever stuff goes on. On the right-hand side is what we call CTO, which stands for Central Technical Area. Yeah. This is where all of the wires and plugs and stuff like that in the building come in. And they all converge on all of these things. There's about a dozen bays, 19-inch rack bays in here. And then they all go out again, either to other studios or to the transmitter or to other places like that. When I worked for the BBC, we had all these swanky studios and hugely expensive equipment. And it was lovely. It was like having the world's best train set, really. The funny thing is, in this day and age, you don't really need most of that. We launched Amazing Radio literally with 3 days' notice. So we bought all the equipment that you need in order to transmit. And that consists of 2 computers this deep that cost £8,000, including all the software. I mean, it's ridiculous how easy it is to launch a radio station. So for the last 6 months, we've been broadcasting from 2 computers stuck in a rack somewhere in the middle of London. And then I heard that this building was free. Now, this used to have a local radio station in it, and they moved out because they were launching a second station. And because of the way it worked, they built a brand new radio station, and at midnight on a Friday night, they left, and this was all left behind. So I said to them, why don't you not move anything out? Why don't you just leave it all behind? And we moved in here. And what we have, it's hilarious, we have a complete radio station with everything here. Now, actually, we don't need most of it. We don't need 5 studios and lots of stuff, and we won't transmit live from here. But we could do, and it gives us a fantastic foundation and a basis to grow. Someone's working in that one at the moment, so I'll show you the other one, which is just here. If we were a proper radio station, you'd use this studio for doing news announcements, or maybe what they call down the line interviews, where you'd have a person here with a microphone and someone on the end of a phone. We use it for preparing music and for pre-recording shows and things like that. We've got 5 studios in this building, which is kind of more than we need, but when we do Amazing Radio USA, which we hope will happen later in 2010, it will barely be enough. At the moment we have a national radio station broadcasting in the UK. We want to do that all over America using satellite radio, and we've already started talking to some people in the States about that, and during 2010 I think we'll manage to do that. That's the real reason we've taken it. It gives us an awful lot more potential for the future, and it's kind of exciting. But here we are, here's the gang, all hard at work, I'm pleased to say. Can you get away to the camera? You see how much they enjoyed that. It's easy to sit in a posh studio like this and think, you know, oh, it must have been so lovely and so easy to launch Amazing Radio. Well, it wasn't. I literally have shed blood for this business, not on purpose. And there's been a lot of pressure along the way, some of it technical, things like that, a lot of it financial, and a lot of it about motivation really, because you have an idea for something and it keeps you awake at night, and you keep thinking at 3 o'clock in the morning, this is such a good idea and I really, really want to make this happen. And then you start trying to make it happen and all kinds of problems come along. Even so, there is this sort of determination to see if something's possible and to try and make it happen because you believe it should be doable, that keeps you going. So this is our reception area. Now, this used to be bright red and beige, and we thought that wasn't really terribly nice, so we've just repainted it Amazing Tunes green and grey. I hope you like the green and it doesn't make the camera go a bit silly, because it is a bit vibrant. And if I can find my key, I can take you into the posh studios. The cameraman's got it. Thank you. We have something like 7,000 bands at the moment who have songs uploaded to amazingtunes.com. Some of them are completely mental. Most of them are in the UK. Some of them are all over the world. We have people in Australia and China. A lot of them in America, actually. The Americans picked on with this quite quickly. They range from a girl called April Start, who is a waitress in New York, who sounds a bit like Shania Twain, and looks a bit like Shania Twain as well, to possibly the maddest band I've ever heard of in my entire life, which is a bit like a version of the Pogues, who are in Carlisle, and everything else in between. That's Stephen, who's making the carpet tiles look better. And here's one of the big on-air studios. So in here you've got all the usual paraphernalia of a radio station. There's 3 microphones. This is the one that the main DJ would use. 2 microphones for guests or people reading the news or something. These mixing desks are digital, which means they're very clever, and I don't know how they work. So from here we could broadcast live 24 hours a day. There's another studio behind you which is exactly the same. In fact, we probably never will. We'll probably record everything and automatically get the computer to put it together. But we could be broadcasting from here to the UK as we are doing at the moment, and also to America at the same time, because the technology is so clever these days that we could literally have what sounded like an American radio station coming from Gateshead. All the time you have this kind of single-minded vision of what we want to do and why we want to do it and where we want to get it to. And that's the thing that keeps you going, even in the wee small hours of the morning when you're lying awake thinking, am I mad? When you get some feedback, a positive reaction, when there's a bit of a breakthrough, the positivity it gives you is out of all proportion to the actual event, because it sort of makes you think, maybe I'm not mad and maybe this is going to work, and you just keep going. I think the thing about being an entrepreneur is it's about irrational enthusiasm. It's about optimism in the face of sanity. It's about saying, this should be possible, I want it to be possible, therefore it will happen. And actually, I think the more and more I think about entrepreneurship and the more entrepreneurs I meet who have been successful, the more I think it's actually about never giving up. So back into reception with Amazing Radio playing in the background. I hope you've enjoyed the trip round. If you're watching this and thinking, actually, I quite like to work Amazing Tunes and Amazing Radio, it looks quite good fun. We are actually hiring people, but come to think of it, we want you to start your own business, so you can't. Or maybe you can, I don't know. Why don't you work for here first and then have a much better idea and then do it yourself? But that's it, and if you don't mind, I've got some work to do, so will you please bugger off? Off you go. That way, thanks a lot. See you later, mind the stairs. Bye.